Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Damodara Janani, Lord Damodara's mother, by His Holiness Sri Sivarama Swami. We are reading from this book at the moment, and we are going to begin chapter 4. Today, Yashoda finds and catches Krishna. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yad kripa tam aham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. We've been reading till now that how Krishna was being fed by Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda had to leave him to attend to the boiling pot of milk on the stove, and Krishna was still hungry, and how Krishna got angry, and that beautiful pastime has been unfolding, and how Krishna broke so many pots of the yogurt in and around the kitchen, in the house, and he was really furious that how Mother Yashoda had left him unattended for the pot of milk. So let's continue with chapter 4. Actually begin with chapter 4 now. Anvanachamana Janani Brihatchalach Shroni Brihatkranta Gatiha Sumadhyama Javena Vishramashita Kesha Bandhana Chita Prasuna Anugati Paramar Shrata. While following Krishna, Mother Yashoda, her thin waist overburdened by her heavy breasts, naturally had to reduce her speed. Because of following Krishna very swiftly, her hair became loose, and the flowers in her hair were falling after her. Yet she did not fail to capture her son Krishna. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, verse 10, chapter 9. While Krishna was busy writing new pages in the annals of divine mischief, Mother Yashoda illuminated the kitchen with the sunshine of loving service. Grabbing two cloths with characteristically hurried movements, she shifted the weighty pot off the fire and placed it to the side, all the while shaming the glowing stove with her bodily effulgence. Wiping drops of perspiration from her brow, Yashoda Devi examined the pot's contents, muttering, "This milk is now boiled to completion. It is done." She then mopped the spilt milk from the floor as lovingly as she would bathe her own son, her conviction being that everything in the house was for his service and thus as important as he. Occasionally, Yashoda Devi would think, "What is he doing?" They cast glances in his directions. Fortunately for Krishna, his illusory potency arranged that Yashoda saw him playing on the floor before an intact churn, patiently waiting for her return. "He is such a good boy," she thought. But that was hardly the case. While his mother was being misled by Yogamaya, Krishna was venting his anger in the storeroom, splashing yogurt everywhere and consuming butter to his satisfaction. And Yogamaya was not only deceiving Yashoda's sense of sight, but also her sense of time. While she was the impression that her duties had spanned only moments, Yashoda had actually been preoccupied for a much longer amount of time, sufficient for Krishna to have broken the pot, secured the storehouse keys, laid waste to his mother's produce, and abandoned the carnage for the courtyard. That took more than a few moments, and although forbidden to see, the birds nearby could hear what Krishna and his mother were up to, and so witness the dual passing of time. While cleaning up, Yashoda spoke reassuring words to her son, "I'm just coming, dear. Be a good boy." But Krishna was not there to hear, and he was hardly being a good boy. Already in the courtyard, he was looking for a spot to make merry with the spoils of his escapade. Yashoda finally returned to the churning pot with "Here I am," and stopped dead in her tracks at what she saw. The birds watching Krishna's antics below turned to the sound of her voice. "Vishnu, Vishnu, what is this? What has happened?" Yashoda could hardly believe her eyes. At first she thought that the yogurt had seeped through the pots, thinking, clay pots can lose their contents even if ornamented and tasseled. Then she noticed the broken churn. It did not look broken a minute ago, but it was broken now. Before considering the cause of Yashoda's lament was soon broken by the distant tinkling of anklets that begged the question, "Queen, where is your son?" "Those are Krishna's anklets." She looked here and there. "Where is he?" Yashoda ran to the bedchamber, and beyond that, in reply came the unmistakable sound of the clanging pot. "Oh, Queen, he is here." But where was that? It sounded far away. So the clanging pot, it also replies to the Queen that there is Krishna. But where was that? It sounded far away. Yashoda ran to the bedchamber, and beyond that to her dressing salon. He was in neither place. Returning to the churning pot, she took in the scene: sharp rock, broken churn, spilt yogurt, scattered footprints, and yogurt handprints on the wall everywhere. But where was he? Yashoda scanned the devastation, ignoring the hints from the anklets and the pot. Who would dare to do such a thing? Her heart replied, "None but your son. But he has never done such a thing before. He has done it now. But I have tried so hard to teach him good behavior. That may be, but this is how he is behaving at present. He must have become extremely angry, no doubt." Yashoda remained hesitant, unwilling to blame her little boy, but no one else was present. Besides, who else could be so clever? Squinting slightly, she examined the expertise that broke the churn. He is very clever, and now he has also become a pandita in churn breaking. But where was the pandita? Although proud of Krishna's precociousness, Yashoda Devi fleetingly put thoughts of her son aside. Raising her head, she scanned her chambers again. They were silent and empty. Her eyes fell upon the birds sitting on the balcony. If they could only talk, then I would know the truth. And although the birds could talk, they were afraid of Krishna's anger and so stared emptily at their queen. Where was Krishna? Yashoda remained distracted by his antics. Looking to the churn, a faint smile appeared on her lips. That smile was like the moments of dawn when bird song is first heard, when sunlight is first seen, and when the scent of blossoms is first inhaled. It was a smile of pure joy, and from that smile shone beams of affection that spread throughout the room and almost swept the birds off their perch. She smiled wider to think of Krishna's naughtiness, cleverness, and subsequent flight. Where was he? Distractedly she thought. Did he really do this? Could he? As if to sniff out the truth of events, Yashoda raised her left forefinger to her regal nose. By this gesture, she signaled to the absent Krishna. You may be a pandita in breaking pots, but I am a pandita in catching butter thieves. Finally, Yashoda acknowledged Krishna as the culprit and concluded, in the fear of punishment, he has run away. Her smile widened, and with the rays of that smile, she charmed the hearts of the goddesses above. Raising her eyebrows with a mixture of anger and amusement, Yashoda thought, no doubt about it, this turmoil must be the work of that prince of rascals. But where was he? Mother Yashoda turned as if to search after him, but then became apprehensive and uncertain. What should I do? The birds looked at each other, then to Krishna in the courtyard below, and again back to the queen. They knew what to do, but who were they to say? Then from above the voice of a goddess spoke the answer. Shishu madhukrid atakshan madhava asiddham vipasan sarasija mukuladhash chedam acharya pashyan drava viglana matram tatra nirvidya madhye kamalam aparam anchana prapa tasmin madhuni. O queen, this baby honeybee broke a hole at the bottom of the budding lotus flower. Finding only some dripping liquid inside, he became disappointed and went to the another lotus where he found honey. Shamayan chakrishe dugdham kshubitam tattava sudakshata kalita shamayasi yadi shishu kopam Tadrisham Uchay Satada Prashmsayatha. You have displayed skill by having calmed the boiling milk. If you can now calm your child's anger, your reputation will certainly be praised by far and wide. Mother Yashoda's smile now spread to its borders. Even the demigods relish their pastimes of her son. What could be more praiseworthy? Casting a glance of sympathy at the spilt yogurt, Yashoda Devi began to follow Krishna's delicate footprints, and as she did, her motherly pride grew with every step. Making a show of false anger, she mused, "The pranks of my son are unlimited. His every movement increases his pride, and his every theft increases his bliss. Although his acts disrupt our village, they are also a festival of joy for everyone, especially for his mother." But where was he? Wherever he was, Krishna was always in the temple of his mother's heart. He could not escape from there, partly because of his presence within her and partly because of her overflowing love. Yashoda Devi's heart was a temple of the most select gems of beauty. And that inner beauty was reflected in the mirror of her transcendental form, for which she was universally famous as the reservoir of beautiful things. All beautiful Yashoda now became inspired and beautified with further feelings of affection for Krishna's thieving ways. Wanting to embrace and console him but not seeing him, she became morose. In divine sulkiness, she resolved to seek him out. The floor was slippery from the streams of spilled yogurt flowing here and there, and so Yashoda's steps were measured as she traced the marks that sang of his delinquents. "O mother," whispered his footprints, had you been attentive earlier, you would have heard the jingling of Krishna's ankle bells and the rattle of yogurt containers. Then you would have caught him in the act. As it is, just see how he has laid your storeroom to waste." Indeed, when Yashoda stepped into the vestibule, she saw the storeroom door ajar and her key dangling from the lock. "How dare he steal my key and from my private almirah?" Opening the door wide, Yashoda Devi was greeted by a band of panicky crows that had invaded the storeroom through a window and set upon her exposed produce. Caught in the act and their only escape route blocked, the birds set to a startling cacophony, their feet, beaks and wings smeared with yogurt and butter. The crows flapped around the storeroom in a frenzy. When they finally spotted their chance, they flew past the flailing arms of the queen and out the window through which they had come. "How embarrassing," said the parrots on the terrace. "They give Raja's birds a bad name," added the owl. "As they always do," scowled Shuka. Mother Yashoda surveyed the carnage before her. Krishna had lowered a few hanging pots, some of which were broken, others spilled, and the crows had then plundered not only the spilt yogurt but the pots still hanging. It was a mess. "My entire stock has become contaminated and unofferable." Counting the pots, she saw one was missing, and that rascal took one pot with him. Yashoda's rising anger was tempered by her amazement. What 3-year-old could contrive such a game plan? At first Yashoda tried to bring some semblance of order to her storeroom. She collected the broken pots and retied the silken ropes upon which they had hung, but it was too much for one person. Besides, there was a more pressing task at hand, catching the butter thief. Somehow he managed to mastermind this mayhem, pass through all the rooms with the pot, and escape through the back door without me seeing. This boy is a mystic incarnate. Dropping the broken pots with a clatter, Yashoda wiped her hands in the folds of her sari and, creeping like a detective on the tips of her toes, she followed the path left by her son, step by buttery step. O great sages, O demigods, O perfect devotees, meditate upon the ruby glow of the lotus feet of the Universal Mother as she balances on her soft petal toes. So we will stop reading now and we will continue with the reading next time. The pastimes, as it is unfolding, it's getting sweeter and sweeter with every word we are reading now. We'll be reading now from the chapter, and I would like to thank you all for joining. We'll continue with the reading next time. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.